Hello and welcome to another DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. It's Matt.
Hey, Brian.
And we have our first returning guest, good friend Justin Berg.
It's a first. I'm a first.
That's right. You weren't the first guest, but you're the first returning guest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. First
That's right. No offense to Ron or anything, but we brought you back. Take that, Ron. Ron's on the show every week because his music is part of the show.
And I don't do anything.
No, I have no skills either.
No, I don't have
It's
any.
evident by the fact that I'm talking into a camera on the internet. It's about the most I got to offer. Not great. But we brought Justin back because he's like a comic book expert and a comic book movie aficionado. I don't think anybody's an expert at comic book movies.
The only comic book expert without a Twitter account.
Well, that's true. See, I don't think anybody's nailed down comic book movies, though, because we're still very hit and miss across the board on comic book movies. And today we're going to be talking The Punisher from 1989, starring Dolph Lundgren. Now, we've done Dolph Lundgren on the show before.
Yeah.
We're
With
big
great
fans.
success, yes.
And yeah, it was a good episode.
Do you guys need guest stars for Dolph Lundgren films? Because I feel like that's... You had one for Universal Soldiers.
That's true. That's true. There's so much manliness in Dolph Lundgren. It takes more people to like just do an episode to cover him.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I did want to. The last time we did Dolph Lundgren, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I didn't really go into. And I was just like, since we're doing a second movie with Dolph Lundgren, I just want to name off a couple of the things that were so impressive about him before he even got famous. What makes him such a badass? You know, aside from being like this 6'5" Swedish, you know, like he's like
Tank.
what do we call? He's the Adolf Hitler wet dream. He's just like this perfect white man with his blonde hair and everything. But he when he was like 19, he was competing in karate competitions. He won like a national title in his, I think it's done by weight class or age, but then he won the European heavyweight title as well in karate. So that's pretty impressive. Then he went on to get his chemical engineering master's in chemical engineering. Comes from a family of chemical engineers, his dad and his brother.
Just a master's, though? I mean...
Oh, I know, just a master's.
Couldn't get a PhD?
Well, that's the thing. He was going to continue his education. He had a Fulbright scholarship, which I don't know what a Fulbright scholarship... I don't know what those words together mean. I don't know if that's just a type of scholarship or what the different... But anyway, he had some sort of scholarship to go to MIT... Ever heard of it?
No.
I don't know.
Is that like a wizarding school or
like,
something?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's like
All right.
American Hogwarts. But anyway.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
But like, so he had this little break before he was supposed to start at MIT, and he meets this hot chick, and she, you know, gets him into going to the clubs, and he's modeling, and then he gets into acting, and lets all his, I mean... Can you imagine a guy who looked like Dolph Lundgren, though, standing around, like, with some test tubes and some goggles and a white coat? You know, you got all this, like, sea of nerds, and he's, like, a full head taller than everybody, all ripped, you know, probably, like, bulked out of his white lab coat, like the Hulk,
true.
you know?
No sleeves. The sleeves are just gone.
Someone like, disproves his hypothesis, just walks up and is like, I must break.
Yeah, exactly. Most of my memories are just, like, weird Technicolor, like, flashing, and him giving these, like, long, kind of, like... sad speeches or like talking about, you know, the pain of life or something.
I vaguely,
so I'm kind of interested to go back.
Yeah,
you know?
I vaguely remember a plot about like the mafia and the Yakuza, maybe I want to say. I don't.
Right.
Mob
Or maybe the Triads. I don't know. It was an Asian villain of some kind. I don't remember.
In the comics, he's a Vietnam vet, right?
Right. He's not a cop.
Right, and in this, I think it's a cop. He's like a cop.
And I think the Jane version they did like FBI agent. But
Yeah.
I don't think he ever was in law enforcement.
And I mean, I understand because in the comics they've had to update it because, you know, a Vietnam vet's a pretty old dude.
Yeah,
now,
so it's probably like Gulf War vet.
Right, without some super soldier serum or something. They don't really. They want to keep Frank Castle just a normal crazy guy with guns. They had to kind of change it here and there, but so yeah, I'll be interested to check this one out. I was going to talk about the director, but the only other movie the director ever made starred Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo.
Oh. So what gem was that?
I didn't even write the
Punisher
name down.
Wow.
I was just like,
gotta be bad.
no. I just refused
Is it
to
in
think
here
about that.
No. Okay.
Now, to be fair though, to give the guy his credit, he is an editor more than a director, and he did get an Oscar nomination as editor on Terminator 2.
Okay.
So even though I didn't bother to write down his name, go look up the editor for Terminator 2, and you'll see he's Oscar nominated, and he directed this movie.
Awesome.
So aside from that, anything else to say about The Punisher before we get started?
No, I'm excited.
Let's go punish ourselves.
Yeah, I love Dolph Lundgren, so at least I'm going to be able to hang my hat on that.
I think
right?
Gossett
Although,
Jr.'s in this too?
I have to say...
Isn't Gossett in this
It
one?
is. He is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do have to say, though, Lundgren with black hair kind of steps it down just a little bit. Like, it's just not quite the same.
He's not as hunky.
Right, exactly. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Agreed.
But, yeah. All right, let's go watch The Punisher.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so we made it. We crossed over to the other side of watching The Punisher.
Yep. I've seen that movie now.
So just real quick, because I don't want to spend too much time hashing over it, but the main plot, like, Punisher's been active for 5 years. His family dies, gets murdered. Somebody goes to jail for it, gets convicted of it, a mob boss guy, basically. Which you
Right.
really know how a mob boss got convicted for a car
He was
bombing.
like a lieutenant. He was like,
a lieutenant. Okay, fair enough.
mid-level
Because
guy.
because the guy, basically his boss comes in after he gets, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so in the 5 years, he's killed, they say, 125 people as the Punisher. Nobody's made the connection yet, except his former partner, Louis Gossett Jr., is the only one who thinks that Frank Castle is the Punisher. Everybody else is just a mystery. They know the Punisher
Except-
exists, but they don't know it's Frank Castle.
Except for a young rookie
Oh, a plucky young rookie. Now,
who offers little to nothing to the plot.
no. She's basically just there so that Louis Gossett Jr. has somebody to tell the history,
Yeah.
his backstory to.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
But I have to say that one place this movie twisted on us, we thought you called right away. We saw her, we're like, oh, she's gonna get killed, and she did
She
not.
did not get killed. That's
because
true.
that
yeah.
would have it required her to be in the movie
Yeah.
more than she ever was.
We even
Like,
thought
She's
she was
just
in the movie in a
gone.
scene that she wasn't in the movie.
we thought they were following this character, and we're like, oh, it's her undercover. No, it's just some lady.
It was an actual hooker.
Yeah,
actually.
actual
Yeah,
prostitute,
yeah.
not a vice cop.
Yeah.
Let's start with what we talked about a little bit. I want to talk about Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher, as Frank Castle.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we can just nail it down. Doesn't work with black hair. Dolph Lundgren isn't Dolph Lundgren with black hair. It's just not right. It's weird.
No, it's like Hollywood
He's
Lundgren is what we have here.
He's just so Scandinavian looking.
That was a good reference. I like that.
And then I also, even weirder than when he's the Punisher is when they show him in flashbacks and he's like,
Oh yeah.
and he's got
With
the dark
his-
hair. They pictures of him and his family, and he's got the dark hair. That's even more unnatural because at least as the Punisher, he looks kind of greasy and dirty, and you can just be
The,
like,
the teal
you know.
jacket was really selling me on that
Yeah.
one too. That was good.
Lots of button-up shirts tucked in jeans in this movie.
Yeah.
Plenty of that. Plenty of that.
Some really weird suits.
Oh
Like
yeah,
weird
all the mob
waist-length
guys
suits.
are wearing
Pinstripes,
like
yeah.
a lot of pinstripes, but also plaids and
Yeah.
like some weird checkered patterns. But one more thing I wanted to say about Dolph Lundgren, I wanted to draw attention to his stubble, which is clearly grease paint. Like no lie, it's not even like stippled on like little dots. It's just like Halloween grease
Yeah.
paint. Like
Straight
I
up, yeah.
used to give my kid Dracula face this year. Like the same thing. And it's like drawn on like a perfect line. And then there's some scenes where it's on a lot less, where it's like he probably sweated some
Well, you
of it
pointed
off
out the
for-
scene in the sewer. Yeah.
where it was on his earlobe.
Yeah.
Yes, he had a little bit of his beard on his earlobe.
Your kid
so-
looks better in the grease paint. Let's face it. You do a better job with the makeup than me.
Yeah. And can we talk about a trope that we picked up on in this that I think is one of those things that only appears in movies, and that's the way the media hounds suspected mafiosos. Have you ever seen this? Have you ever turned on
I can tell you, like,
news?
watching
News.
the local news affiliates here, I always, when you see, like, some guy who's embattered, and whatever, you see, like, two people. That's
Yeah,
it. You
yeah.
don't see a horde of, especially right outside the mob guy's home, and they all run in as soon as they hear gunshots.
Yeah,
like,
that was a weird
where are
scene.
where are your guards?
Well, yeah, it's like the guy who's supposedly suspected of killing Frank Castle's family gets acquitted. So big surprise, the minute he gets home to his mansion, the place erupts in gunfire and blows up.
Yeah.
I do like that scene though. That's like the first big kind of Punisher scene, and he used a lot of variety in
Yeah.
that. He
They were good kills. They were
shoots
good
a guy,
kills,
he
yeah.
kicks a guy over a railing, he uses a garrote, drops a garrote, and strings a guy up, and then he blows the place up. So I mean, he
Yeah.
really like right in that first scene. Because he does do it. This isn't just a gun shooting Punisher. He stabs a lot. This Punisher
Lots of
likes to
stabbing.
stab.
Well, he has those stilettos.
He's
with
got his
the
very
Punisher
with the
heels.
skull on the end of him, yeah. And I have to say, he's not so much like Batman on brand, but his look is very tight. I like the leather. I like the buckles. I like the boots
Padding,
with the big
it's like-
silver,
yeah,
the big silver
true.
heels on the boots
knife
and stuff.
boots,
You see a
too.
lot of those boots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shots of his feet or like on the motorcycle.
I'd say outside of the fact that they didn't have the skull on the shirt, they nailed the look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except Dolph Lundgren's look.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, Dolph
his
Lundgren
outfit,
is
like they had him
not-
geared up right.
Yeah.
And I like Dolph Lundgren, and he wasn't even a bad Punisher, but there's just something about, well, the fact that his beard was grease paint is a big problem for me. But just with that, like I said, there's something about that dark hair. Like, some people can switch back and forth, dark and light, some people can't. He's just one of the ones that can.
No,
Swedish people
Swedish-
have a hard time,
Swedish people
going
with that
dark.
There's not a dark-haired person out there.
Nope.
Yeah, this
Not a
looks
single
wrong.
Swede with
It's
dark
like the
hair.
uncanny
We'll
valley
nail
of
it down.
beautiful or something like that. It's like, wait, he's still beautiful, but something's off.
Something's
Yeah, it's a
little
Swedish
off
man with
here.
brown hair. That's what happened.
He has a sidekick, kind of, in this movie. Punisher does. It's a homeless guy, former actor, kind of.
Shake.
Is that what they call him? Shake. And he's a character from the comic.
Is it supposed to be like a play on that hits Shakespeare, but also because he's a drunk too? Because he's like,
That's the first time we made that connection.
yeah, and I bet he speaks in like iambic pentameter.
Oh my god!
you know?
It took us like 2 scenes to realize he was rhyming.
Yeah, and it was that much more annoying. When
Yeah,
they
I was
figured
like,
it out,
now
yeah.
I really just want this guy to get murdered.
And he didn't. He actually survived.
And it's weird. That's another thing. Like, usually in Punisher movies, the people around, like in Warzone, the guy who helps him, who plays Microchip or whatever, ends up getting killed. You know, there should be collateral damage in a Punisher movie
Yeah.
because the Punisher's violence begets violence, and we get some of that, but it's really more that he created a situation between the mafia, which is kind of a plus. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough. Yeah, I definitely feel like we talked about, either the cop, the rookie cop, or this bum should have gotten murdered. But I love the
Because
way,
of something he did.
Right.
Yeah.
But I love the way that he lures him the first time. He's got like a remote controlled truck with a bottle of whiskey sitting on the back, and this bum gets like thrown out of a bar, and he's laying on the ground, and up drives this little truck, and he's just like, whoa. The truck drives into the alley. And he
You can't tell me that
stumbles-
wasn't the first time he's done that, so he was just like,
Every
hey,
time.
this couldn't possibly be Frank calling me for some more
Yeah,
information.
because he doesn't seem like too a surprise by it. He's just like, oh, just follow this truck into
it's
the
one of
alley.
Frank's
Yeah.
little booze trucks. I'll follow this over here.
Yeah, well, he's killed most of the mafia. I mean, I think we can agree that the mafia is in this movie is just down to what the remnants of the accounting department.
yeah.
I think
If
is what
you've
these
seen
guys
how
are.
good they are, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
His
yeah.
125 were clear. He was picking off the top guys,
Yeah.
working his way from the top down, because there's only bosses and complete morons
Yeah.
left. Like,
They're
and even
dead.
some of the bosses in this, like the way they react. Like, they set up the Yakuza boss, Lady Tanaka. I think she's a great villain.
She
They
is
give
pretty
her a
good
really
villain, yeah.
great villain qualifier story where they talk about like how she had to kill her own brother and
Yeah.
stuff to become the head of the Yakuza. She's real crazy and nasty, but like, and she's definitely somebody to be feared. But instantly, there's always the mob guy who's like, "Fuck you!" and he gets, made an example of promptly, and
Yeah.
so yeah, there's not too many brains left on the mob side. Of
No,
this
there
one.
you go.
The Yakuza's closing in fast, but they also like. I feel like the Yakuza already had him over a barrel. Like they kill a bunch of the mob guys. Like Frank Castle shows up at the docks to kill all these mob guys, and they just do his work for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Yakuza kills everybody.
And then
yeah.
so they already have like, and then just like, no, and we're gonna kidnap all your kids too. They like kidnap all the mob's kids.
Yeah.
Like we were already ready to make a deal. We didn't really need the.
Well, they did come in and they tried to offer them the deal.
But the deal was really shitty. It was like
Yeah.
75-25.
And so like, what if and then we'll go to war, and then like almost immediately they kidnap the kids with one of the best kill scenes of the movie as the nanny is singing to the kids.
That was
with
pretty
the
brutal.
pen.
Like
And
that's
then
the
she
thing.
gets
Awesome.
What's brutal about that scene isn't even the nanny getting murdered. It's
Yeah.
thinking about the rest of
Those
those kids'
kids,
lives.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
they are fucked up forever.
And like they had such joy on their
Yeah.
faces
Well,
by
she's
this
like
animatronic panda bear.
she's like showing them a basically rip off Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're just having a good old time singing a song. And I'll tell you what, scenes like that get to you more when you have kids. Like, I used to
Absolutely,
never
yeah.
kind of... I mean, I get it. Like, I would understand why. But, like, when you think about, oh, my God, how would my kid feel if somebody came in and shot me in front of them? Like,
I thought you were gonna say, "What would I do if my nanny died?" Actually,
I'd have to actually parent my child. Oh,
sounds
I get
horrible.
really nervous when I think
Yeah.
about that sort of thing and get like some heart.
Both the bear and the nanny died. We lost two of my most important allies.
He had that shootout at the carnival with the Yakuza that was.
I
Just
feel like that
kinda-
was just one of those where they found a set. or they
Yeah.
found a building. They're like, we have this old shutdown carnival. And they're like, let's make it an action scene.
This
Because they
was
like try to find some ways to use the stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
House of Mirrors, or like the like weird turny spinny ride thing. It's like they do their best, but that was one of those situations. Clear ambush. He gets captured. They question him
Like for 5 seconds.
They torture, and then immediately abandon it and leave him.
She's got an appointment.
She's got an appointment to go to.
Yeah.
She's very busy. Lady Tanaka's very
Yeah,
busy.
they don't even they tell him they're gonna question him, and then they just
And they
don't.
torture him a little
And they
bit.
leave him with a guy who you assume is going to be like a torturer guy, but he just ends
Yeah.
up torturing Shake.
Well, and he just escapes immediately. Like his handcuffs have
Well,
wing nuts
wing-
on
yeah, the
them,
wing nut,
and
yeah.
they didn't account for the fact that 6'5" Dolph Lundgren's fingers are probably about this long, and he just like reached back, and
Yes, nails
undid
it.
that thing, popped off the table. But yeah, he literally like was captured. There was nothing. He wasn't really tortured a little bit, but nothing serious. They didn't get any information from him. He did, I guess, find out. Like
Where
that's
the
how he
kids
found
were
out where the
held,
kids
yeah.
were held. But like, why couldn't he have just shot up the fun house, grabbed the last guy there, got him to tell him? What was the purpose of the torture
Or
scene?
even just
what was
find the guy in
purpose
the
of the
casino.
kidnapping?
Find someone in the casino that knew where the kids were.
I think it
you
really
know?
just had more to do with a scene where our main villain meets up with the Punisher. Right?
Yeah.
Lady Tanaka meeting
That's
up with
true,
the
'cause he
Punisher is
never
like the
actually meets
whole
her other way.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's like the whole purpose of that scene. I think it's just to have her meet up with him and have them butt heads for a second. But then after he escapes from there, easily walks out, basically. That's when you were talking about. He just shows up with a bus.
Yeah, he's got a
Yeah.
bus.
He's got a city bus.
They just leave those lying around,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
But he breaks in and he knows where the kids are, so he breaks in. But again, I will say, I like the action in this movie.
Oh yeah,
I think
Actually,
a lot of
yeah.
good shootouts in this movie, a lot of good, and sometimes they'll have a little close-up hand-to-hand stuff, but not too much. They only do it appropriately. Like, whereas movies now, I feel like will stop in the middle and put in a big, like, hand-to-hand showdown where one would not occur. All of a sudden, it'll some trite way the two main guys will not have a gun on them, and then they have to have a big, long, protracted fight, and everybody's a martial arts master and everything, and it's just like, this movie used it sparingly, and I appreciated that. So you have a big scene of action with him breaking the kids out, but he doesn't get one of the kids. The main...
the only one that matters.
The only one that
kid
mattered. They were all kids of mafia people, but
Franco's
all
kid. Franco's
yeah,
kid. The main
basically,
monk. Yeah,
basically
Franco.
the only one whose parent was smart enough to not get murdered. Like, all the other kids are going home to empty. Remember, like, those guys all get killed. They go to the meeting with Mrs. Tanaka, and she kills everybody.
she kills them all.
She poisons a bunch of them. She shoots a bunch.
She's the one, yeah.
She has that whole diner set up with these plants. Everybody's an assassin. Remember that old lady?
old lady
It's like an
with the
old
Uzi?
grandma
Yeah.
with an
She can't even
Uzi.
hold the gun up hardly. It's like somebody's mom or
even
something.
with the blank, she's struggling with
Like,
it.
it wasn't just that the guy she brought with her had guns. Everybody in the restaurant all of a sudden stood up and was working for Mrs. Tanaka.
Yeah, that was a great scene. though.
So they're all sorry, kids. I saved you, but I didn't save your parents. They're all dead. But hey, they were all scumbags
Yeah,
anyway.
they're
Whatever.
shit.
You're probably better off without them,
They all knew they were criminals. in this
Punisher's
show.
your dad now.
That's actually the sequel to this is where he trains an army of mob orphans.
Yeah, don't they have like Young Justice League or something? Can they have like Young
Absolutely,
Punishers or
absolutely.
something? Just
Last mob,
Franco.
the main mob guy, whose kid is the only one still kidnapped.
Right.
He's gonna team up with the Punisher. We talked about the Punisher's war garb and how good the costume was for him. Can we talk
good.
about Franco's?
equally amazing.
Equally awesome. Equally 80s awesome.
What I described as a Jay Leno-esque denim jacket.
It really is.
Right? Like,
Acid wash.
with the pop collar,
collar,
and
yeah.
acid wash, and some body armor. But they team up, and that's tenuous villain hero relationship
Yeah.
where we're working towards the same end. So like, Punisher saves him, he saves the Punisher
Right.
once.
But yeah, I just love it when they get off the elevator and they see those, like, the squadron of Yakuza.
It's like a dojo. It's like a full-on dojo. Yeah.
It's a complete Japanese stereotype from one end to the other. But they have all these samurai swords, like, and they just gun them
Yeah,
down.
just mow them down.
Really?
Hey, it's true. You just don't bring a sword to a gunfight.
That you
You know what
don't. I mean, it's
it's like they just stand there
No
and
conversation.
machine gun
Yeah.
them down. But they also do make time here to put some of Dolph Lundgren's martial arts skills on display.
Oh, yeah,
He gets to have some good fights. He gets to fight with Mrs. Tanaka's daughter, who never gets a name besides.
But
But she's like her head assassin. We see her do a thing where earlier in the movie where she pulls off the earrings and throws them in their daggers, but so clearly a white woman,
yeah.
not Asian at all in any way.
No.
So I don't know.
But
if this
she is
like,
credited as Lady Tanaka's daughter. That is her name.
So I don't know if it's like, are we supposed to think that's like a kidnapped child from a different crime left over from another?
I don't even know if she has a line. I don't think she speaks.
She's a silent killer.
They never talk about her.
No.
She's just there.
But she has a good fight with Dolph, and they get some good hand to hand.
And there's just a random lieutenant. He has a really great fight.
Yeah.
Well, Lady Tanaka has two lieutenants that we see kind of a lot, and he gets to fight both of those guys too. And I guess that is quite a bit of I guess
that was a great one. And they had that like dojo with all the different weapons. I thought that was a really great.
That was a good.
Scene.
That was a good martial arts scene. The best kill he had though is when he pulls out the friggin' switchblade and just stabs a guy through the paper
paper wall,
door,
and you don't even know it's there, and the guy just falls through.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was
pretty tight.
Less impressive than that is when him and the mob guy are shooting Eddie through, what seems to be directly across from each other through paper walls, and neither of them get hit. That's maybe a little less cool.
For every cool moment of this movie, there was at least 10 parts that were less cool. So I mean, let's face it.
So we get our final showdown with Lady Tanaka. The mob guy actually catches up with her. Franco catches up with her. She's got the kid, got a knife to his throat. She's going to make Franco kill himself in front of the kid, which I think is, like, again, feeds into that. I think Lady Tanaka is an excellent action movie villain.
Oh, yeah, she's
very good.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing when the kid's trying to look away and she points his head, she's like, this is part of your education.
Yeah.
You watch your dad eat a gun. That shit's fucked up. Like, that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah, like, was she gonna like turn him into Yakuza?
Yeah, I think she was gonna raise him as her own.
I like that.
Maybe brainwash him a little bit.
Right? Maybe his credit could be Lady Tanaka's son.
Yeah.
But then at the last minute, Dolph dives through the paper wall, throws a switchblade, one of his trademark stiletto daggers into her forehead, drops her.
Which was a good moment, actually.
Jack Burton style.
Yeah, absolutely, very cool. And you think that they're just, but of course, Franco can't help himself.
No.
It's the right play. It's the right play.
It is.
For him, it is. Yeah.
Right, if you're Franco, you gotta kill Frank Castle. You can't just leave him. So, and that's fair. But, they tussle, and it doesn't go Franco's way. Big surprise.
No.
A guy who kills people indiscriminately ends up on top.
And is
here.
6'3".
Yeah, and is 6'5". I think.
Never mind.
Huge. And he dies, and we have a moment kind of like I likened it to the Kill Bill, the first Kill Bill movie when she kills Vivica Fox and the daughter's there. And she's like, if you're ever salty about this, you come find me. Because the kid's like got the gun pointed right at him, hammer lock. He said hammer's pulled back and everything, and he's ready to ready to shoot him. And Dolph Lundgren's ready to let him do it. He's like, maybe. And what's the line? Something about if you kill me, maybe you won't become him. And I was like, that's pretty. It reminded me. There's a great moment in Warzone, because the Punisher accidentally kills an undercover cop in Warzone, and he feels guilty about it. He tries to take money to the widow. And Widow doesn't want to take his money, and she pulls a gun on him. And he's like, good. He taught you well. He taught you how to shoot. And he puts it right in his chest. And he's like, just do it. I understand. I killed your husband. You are totally legit. And I thought that was a good Punisher moment. Like, that's the way the Punisher would be. I'm doing what I'm doing, so I can't take away your vengeance from you. We are one and the same here.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool little bit there. But the kid doesn't. He turns out to be better than Frank Castle. Thank God.
But Frank still tells him, "I'll probably kill you later."
But he does. He gives him that little you're a good boy, become a good man, or you'll be seeing me.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do some character corner.
Yes, sir.
Who you got?
We'll go with Franco, the head mafia guy.
Denim jacket.
I believe his name is Jerome McCrabb. Is it Krabby?
Jerome Crab.
Yeah. Krabby.
Krabby. Oh,
he has an E
Krabby.
at the end there. But he was in The Fugitive. He was the bad guy in The Fugitive. The head bad guy. He's kind of
the one who turns out to be the
bad
real
guy,
bad guy, not the one-armed man.
Yeah, solely for his acid wash denim.
Absolutely.
That was
pop collar, the rolled sleeves. He looked pretty badass.
Yeah, and he was willing to blow his own brains out. Although he should have just shot Tanaka in the face.
Right, she had a knife. I mean, that kid might have got a little cut. You could have saved his life. You could have blown her away and saved that kid's life for sure. For sure.
So that's my pick. He did great in this. It was just there wasn't a lot of people I knew in this movie. He was fine.
This movie killed a lot of careers.
I understood what was happening most of the time when he was on screen, which puts him way above the rest of this movie.
Puts him way out above everybody else in the cast.
Oh, God.
How about you, Justin?
I guess my pick would have to be Barry Otto, who played Shakes, the weird drunk dude. Actually, the father of Miranda Otto, who, as we all know, is Éowyn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
He is a really ugly man. He had some very attractive offspring, so I have to give him for that. So
yeah, he did have that real withered bum face.
Knowing what that's a little bit like, I have actually fairly cute offspring, so I have to give it to them.
We saw him as an old man, though. Maybe he was a looker as a young man, too. So. Yeah. I don't feel like I'm going to age very well.
I think he was like 30
now.
I'm timeless, actually. I've looked this way for about 25 years now.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, but, actually, he was pretty solid as the drunk, kind of weird, sketchy dude.
Aside from talking in rhyme.
Which, again, not his fault.
No, just the writing.
The writing was pretty deplorable. So.
Being like a near Jar Jar Binks type character as far as how he helps the good guys.
It could have been a lot worse.
He does drop the detonator down the sewer.
Yeah, and his solution is to shoot it to do whatever.
Somehow sets it up.
Works.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
What happened.
Just like it works. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks saves him too.
Yeah, why
That's all
not?
I'm saying.
So let's get into Goodbye versus Goodbye. And this is another segment. Sometimes I'm sporadic about when I explain the segments on the show.
Mm-hmm.
In case we haven't explained it in a while or you've never watched before and this is your first episode, basically the idea here is, did I make a mistake buying this movie for my collection? Is this something that holds up well enough that it has a place in my collection? That would make it a goodbye, money well spent. The other thing would be goodbye as in GTFO out of my collection right now. So, let's start with Matt. What do you think, Matt? What do you think about Dolph Lundgren's 1989 Punisher?
I keep in my brain that this is an alternate universe Punisher where the Nazis won World War II. Everyone is a white person in this movie, with the exception of Louis Gossett Jr. Our Punisher is a Swedish man with a painted-on beard, which I know the Fuhrer would love. And all the action is awesome in this movie.
Agreed.
This movie also reeks of an old friend of mine, cocaine. I feel like when Goldblatt was making this movie, he was just like, who gives a fuck about the story? We're gonna fucking action scenes.
I definitely feel like there were there were probably story elements and like plot scenes that explain more, because they were probably taken out in favor of just like straight up exposition. Like, just have the lady ask Louis Gossett Jr. what happened. We don't need 10 flashbacks to show the relationship building of Louis Gossett Jr. and fucking and Frank Castle. Just have his stupid partner ask him what the hell happened. Get that shit out in about 30 seconds and let's move on to the next shootout. Like,
we don't even necessarily need to know that these people know each other, that they were ever friends. People quit the force and then show up in a police car in the next scene in this movie.
And just walk through police lines and just into buildings.
Well, like 5 cops anyway.
He showed up in a cop car. I don't know what happened.
Man.
But that's why for me, as almost always, this is a goodbye, because it's like having a conversation with somebody. It's not okay because you have no idea what's happening or what they're talking about, but
every
it's
10
amazing.
minutes or so they say something really cool and really entertaining.
You're like, that was, and this, like, the action is great in this movie. And I'm going to give this guy a call. I don't know what he's up to now. I mean, he's obviously won an Oscar, so he's probably still working.
He was only nominated. He didn't win.
Oh, well, then never mind. I want to call him and see what the drug situation was on the set of Punisher, because I got some thoughts, and it was pretty amazing.
I would not be surprised.
So, yes, for me, the easiest to please, though, of our panel.
Sure, to be fair, you like almost everything.
But I will say, the action, like, as disjointed as the movie was, the action's pretty fucking great. Like, gory, Punisher kills so many people. It's good stuff.
Justin?
God, that's hard to follow. All right,
it's the passion that he gives it.
What, you don't have an alternate history?
I don't have that lined up. No, not yet.
Get this guy out of here, bro.
Amateur.
I'm sorry, I haven't done enough of these YouTube videos like you gents.
We've been at it like 6 whole months. We're pros.
Well, speaking as somebody who's going into this expecting this to be not a great comic book movie, but a decent action movie, despite what Matt says about the action being great, and he's not wrong, the action actually is pretty solid. The action scenes themselves don't make any sense. I mean,
I like what you talked about too. Like, what about the scene where the Punisher has the shotgun and then it gets like kicked out of his hand, and he fights the guy, he beats the guy, but he doesn't pick the fully loaded shotgun back up. He just leaves the room. It's like,
you know, I mean, you don't know what else you got to face.
Right.
So I mean, it just.
He has
It was
he has access
disjointed.
to all those M60s. He doesn't need to worry about his shotgun.
Just the writing, like the guy talking about,
can't-
what if the prosecutor appeals? How did they appeal a double jeopardy situation? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So
it's not perfect.
Wait, so you're saying when all those ninjas came down those slides with machine guns, it didn't make any sense to you? What movie were you watching?
Hey, we
maybe
got a
it's
fun
'cause-
house. We're gonna use the fun house.
maybe it's because I've never done drugs. I don't know. But I have to say that despite the action scenes being great and Dolph just trying his best to keep this thing together, I have to say goodbye. I mean, it's just not good. It's just not a good movie.
We've got a tiebreaker here.
Split decision. Yeah. Where am I gonna fall? I do like to come into these pretty open. Like there's been many an episode where I didn't know when we sat down, and then it wasn't until we had the discussion. And I think that's an important part of the show. It kind of keeps, because I like to hear the opinions, and I like to take it all in.
Yeah, you do.
Just like at the truck stops. Take it all in.
You lose that game of craps, you don't got the cash ready. Gotta pay up.
Snowball. All right.
Yeah, I guess it's doesn't hardly make a lick of sense. It's totally disjointed. I mean, like, you can follow it to a point, but like the way they get from place to place in the movie, the way they get from scene to scene is kind of just like, all right, well, whatever. But I do think when it comes right down to it, I think the spirit of the Punisher is in this movie, as far as he is violent, he is crazy, he is depressed, and like you know, I like that, and I like that he's so. I think it's the third best Punisher thing we have of the four interpretations. I would still put this above the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Yeah.
And I would consider this a good bias. It stays in my collection.
Oh my goodness! Surprise!
I won't be watching it anytime soon.
But I got it for $1.99.
No need to do that. But it's so bizarre. And I'm also kind of, I have a little bit of I don't own enough of them, but I have a kind of fascination with the movies that came out like after Batman '89 and kind of like in the wake of the kind of phenomenon that was those Batman movies, the Tim Burton Batman movies. You know, you had like the Phantom and the Shadow and like stuff like this.
Yeah,
it's just really bizarre. They were really. I like to watch the way they were trying to figure out how to make comic book movies work, and it took a long time. And this is a swing. This is like a foul ball. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like an in the park foul.
Because you're right. The Punisher parts and the action, it's in the park foul. Sports.
It might be the foul. It might be the foul ball where they.
I mean, that's a thing. But if somebody said that out loud, they'd probably be asked to leave the game. I think
it might be the foul ball where that Cubs fan caught it and like was maligned forever. That's this foul ball. That's
Everybody
this movie.
blamed him for ruining the whole series.
Yeah, that's this movie right here.
Oh, well, it was an experience, to say the least. Let's put it that way. I hope that the people out there watching have seen this, or if you haven't, I hope maybe we inspired you to go watch it. Like I said, bare minimum, you get some great Dolph Lundgren shooting people up. And Dolph Lundgren made some pretty bad B action movies. So, like, in the Dolph Lundgren canon, this is probably like upper half.
Yeah,
like, so,
I'd say so.
You got that going for it.
It's not
too.
Universal Soldier.
No,
not even close to that. But it's better than that one he did with Brandon Lee. I think that one.
That's
over there.
Chernobyl Tokyo. Right?
It's got to be better than Kindergarten Cop 2, right?
Ooh, I didn't watch that. I'm a big
I don't
Kindergarten
know.
Cop fan. I'm a big Kindergarten Cop fan. I'm a big Dolph Lundgren fan, and I still couldn't bring myself to watch that one.
I think it would depress the crap out of you. I'm sure you would.
I bet it would. Didn't it have Bill Bellamy in it? Who was in that with him?
I didn't see it, so I saw a trailer and thought, oh God, why?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Be sure to like our video here. Subscribe to the TUFF channel. More content coming out every week. BFF is doing some backlogs. It's great because Ashley on that show hasn't seen a lot of like, you know, they're watching like Terminator 2 for the
Yeah,
first time.
she has a
Aliens
lot of
for
good
the first
ones
time.
to watch.
Like, she's seen tons of movies, but there's like these like kind of 80s and 90s blockbusters that she hasn't seen.
It's funny because she loves
That's
those kind of
funny,
movies,
man.
but she hasn't seen them, so she watched them. She's like, that was amazing.
The episode, the Running Man
Yeah.
episode, was so good. Like to see somebody in real time fall in love with Running Man, it was
that
pretty
was so
great. Like,
Yeah, I did. I definitely love that.
so check those out. You can follow us on Twitter at Hurstcules.
At the Drunksman.
Not on Twitter, this guy. Hashtag DVD Bunker. Hashtag Why Won't Justin Get on Twitter?
Number, why won't Justin get on Twitter?
Number sign, Why Won't Justin Get on Twitter?
Pound. It's a
Pound
pound.
Pound sign.
Pound sign. That's what I know.
Get my rotary phone out and I put the pound sign in on it.
Hey. Telegraph. That's what I got.
Okay, all right. Thanks to all our friends. Thanks to Jeannine and Austin. Austin always hooking us up with the beautiful graphics that you see. Jeannine did our logo, which is now prominently on my Twitter page.
Yep.
Got my ugly face on there. Put that phone right back up. And Ron, like we said, he hasn't made it back, but he's been here in spirit every week with us with his beautiful music.
Ah, yes.
So thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.